Hi, I'm David Brickman, the head of Freddie Mac Multifamily, and I'm here with Ivan Kaufman, the CEO and chairman of Arbor Realty Trust. And Ivan, welcome to Freddie Mac.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here, and let's talk a little bit about small balance loans. It's been a phenomenal market in the last few years, certainly for us. I know you've been there a long time, but how do you see the market, and where do you see it going?
So first of all, small balance loans is clearly our world, and it's been a pleasure to partner with you and help create the program several years back. We're only doing it a short period of time, but it seems like a lifetime already, especially with the innovations and progress that Freddie Mac has brought to the table.
That's great, and we've seen huge growth in the program, and it's been just a great privilege to partner with you. What do you think are the keys to success in that marketplace?
I think when you began the product and the program, you wanted to understand the market, and that was first and foremost. So you brought standardization, which was lacking in the market. You reduced the cost, and you made it a reliable product. So these individuals who are going to buy these small balance products are a little less sophisticated, and they needed a financial partner. And by standardizing your program and making consistent, we became their financial partner and allowed them to more effectively buy orderly in the market, and knowing that their financing aspect of the program was taken care of.
That's great, and certainly Arbor's growth has been really remarkable. What do you attribute your success specifically to, and what sets Arbor apart from its competitors?
So first, as you know, we're one of the few independent lenders left in the market. So we're flexible. We're not subject to some of the regulations that some of the bigger institutions are. And we're innovative. And clearly, our efforts on the technology side has helped quite a bit. You know, we have the ALEX program, which is the Arbor Loan Express. And that has been extremely beneficial on the small balance loans, which are very labor intensive. And the revenues are not always there to offset the costs. So bringing ALEX to bear has streamlined the process and has also allowed to do it more efficiently. And from my standpoint, when we decided to partner with you and knew we'd be doing a lot of units, in fact, I think we do more units with the agencies than any other lender, we knew we had to streamline the process. So making that commitment, being entrepreneurial, and being able to apply our capital and do it quickly allowed us to penetrate the market through technology much quicker.
Yep. And you've always had great vision about technology, Ivan. I'm tremendously impressed by that. And curious, kind of where do you see that going, both for Arbor and the market more broadly? Since it seems like there's still room for continued innovation in terms of the infrastructure and technology platform.
I think we're only in the inception of the technology process. I think in 3 years from now, the whole loan process will be fully automated from beginning to end, and it'll integrate the servicing information, the database information on our borrowers, and the markets. And it really applies to the small balance product, because what we're finding with the small balance people is that they don't just buy 1 or 2 properties, they buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 properties, and we could be servicing 30, 40 properties for a small balance borrower. So I think technology will have a bigger impact on the small balance borrower than the large balance borrower.
Sure, no, I can see that. And people sometimes use the word disruption, right, talking about the effect of technology. I mean, do you think that we fast forward 5 or 10 years that we're going to see a fundamentally different way to originate small balance loans, just like we've seen in the residential mortgage market?
Where I think it'll be very valuable is accurate and appropriate information. I think when the markets move quickly, if you don't have accurate information, that's when you have exposure. So I think not only will we have accurate information on a real-time basis, so will our borrowers. It'll help us analyze the situation, it'll help us process more quickly, and we'll do our jobs more effectively. So we'll reduce the cost, make it more consistent, more reliable, and more error-free. So the whole process will be better and more efficient.
Oh, great. In terms of the market itself, still the small balance loan, small property market is very fractured. It seems like there's significant opportunity to continue to bring standardization, to bring more kind kind of modern financial structures, techniques to that marketplace. Do you see that opportunity, and what do you think growth looks like over the next 5 to 10 years?
So clearly, having Freddie Mac bring multiple products on a standardized basis has had a big impact, and you've grabbed a lot of market share. And you've brought a better product to the market than what exists, and it was very fragmented. I think your market share and our market share will continue to grow, and on an exponential basis. I mean, I think when you first began the program, you were looking at $1 billion to $2 billion. We were looking at a couple $100 million. I think we did close to $1 billion in our first year. We'll do $1.5 billion this year. I think we'll continue to grow. I could see us doing $2 to $3 billion of small balance loans in 18 and 19, and that's huge growth. And I know your volumes are going to continue to grow as well. So clearly there was a need for our product. There was a real void in the market, and it's clear with the way we're penetrating the market.
Yeah, no, it's been tremendous, the growth, and I think that the potential really is still there. A very significant amount of the entire multifamily market is in the small balance space, and still, even with our growth, the biggest percentage is still done by local banks, which do a fine job in many cases, but really don't have that same level of standardization and conformity that lends to more modern kind of capital markets and the ability to drive capital into the space. And we see that as a continued opportunity for growth for us. And it continues to just amaze us how that growth did really increase over the last few years, from starting at zero really in 2014-15 when we opened the program. And it's just been incredible to watch as we've been able to not just grow the volume, but also innovate, bring new structures to the market, and really, as like you, think about ways we can deploy more technology to help transform what that financing marketplace looks like.
You know, it's interesting because what we're finding, and if you look at the data, the small balance place is really workforce housing. Mm-hmm. And I think by bringing greater liquidity and better information, I think you'll have better housing and greater opportunities for people who can't afford housing to have more effective housing. And as you also know, there are no new housing starts for B and C properties. Mm-hmm. A lot of these small balance loans tend to be the B type of properties. So I think providing liquidity will improve the condition of housing for workforce housing. Yeah,
no, I couldn't agree more. And certainly that's a big focus, it's a mission of ours, is to better serve affordable and workforce. And the statistics on the smaller balance, smaller property space are really noteworthy in terms of how much more affordable that space is, how much lower the rents are relative to incomes compared to the larger conventional space, and particularly in this current environment where we have an acute crisis really in affordable rental housing. I think it's critical that we continue to provide that liquidity to the space to help preserve that workforce housing, and we'll continue to look for ways in which we can innovate to not just drive more liquidity there, but possibly even help in terms of the supply of workforce and affordable.
I think you're seeing that already. I mean, clearly the bigger banks tend to go into more of the urban areas like New York City. Mm-hmm. And areas like that. What you're seeing in the data is that the small balance loans are generally in the suburbs or secondary markets. That's where they have a greater market share. So doing B housing in the secondary markets is something that was lacking, and I think that this product is allowing that segment of the market to be served much better.
That's great. Now, as for us, it's been just a great experience being your partner and having us both grow together. What stands out in terms of the Freddie Mac program? What works well, and candidly, what works less well?
So you brought a number of products, you brought standardization, and you brought a commitment. A lot of people step in a market, step out of a market. By you being committed to the market, it allowed us to be committed to the market. When we're investing millions of dollars in technology and training our people and making sure that our originators are focused on this segment because it's going to be here for a long period of time, your commitment has made us committed, and therefore we're both great partners servicing and penetrating the market.
We are as firmly committed now as we were when we started, and we are resolute in that commitment. I remember 2014 or 15 when we were launching the program was at our annual conference saying that we were targeting a $3 billion annual run rate, and was told after that a lot of people were deeply skeptical that we would either get to that level and or that we would stay in the market. And so as we're now looking at something as much as $7 billion for this year, hope that demonstrates to everyone we are firmly committed, and firmly committed to those folks we've grown with and worked with, and Arbor has been just really in the forefront of that growth. We also are continuing to look at how we expand a little beyond just serving the space in terms of the affordable housing opportunities. Are there ways we could do more to drive more capital to help support preservation or development of new affordable or workforce housing, particularly of a smaller scale? There seems to be sufficient capital for large Class A in major markets, as you mentioned before, but we think there's probably an opportunity elsewhere. And we as with the small balance program, look forward to exploring those things with you.
I think that's a really good point, David, because the cost to originate a loan, especially a small balance, make it cumbersome. It doesn't just make it cumbersome because they're small. Most firms don't like to dedicate their resources to it. We do, and it's not an easy thing to do. I think one of the things we'll talk about and explore is maybe there's a renovation component on the small balance side, because you don't want to have multiple transactions on a small balance side. And since it is B and C stock, it does need renovation. It does need to be upgraded. So I think that may be an element that's worth exploring.
Sure. And wanted to go back and acknowledge your comments. We do have a great leadership team at Freddie Mac, and Steve Johnson and the rest of the team on the small balance program have done a fantastic job, and I know work very well with your leadership team. One of the core strengths we think of Freddie Mac Multifamily is our people, is our focus on being a real estate firm, and of having folks be close to their markets. I think certainly that's one of the strengths of our platform, is having people close to the real estate, close to the deals, and a leadership team that's very transactional in its focus. And I know your folks are very much the same way, and part of the reason we work so well together is because of that similarity in how we approach the business.
And that actually translates down to the borrower, especially the small balance borrower. I mean, here we are looking at a borrower who has 15, 20 transactions with us. So that relationship goes not only from Freddie to Arbor, from Arbor to the borrower and back to Freddie. So it's like one big family.
Yep. And hopefully the word's getting out for those borrowers as far as not just our commitment to the market, but also our ability to stabilize the market, that we will be there year in, year out, providing consistent flow of capital, consistent terms, and that will work to both our benefits as people become more familiar, certainly with our program. They're probably more familiar with Arbor, but as we're making a big splash, hopefully we'll get us both a little more attention.
Right. And David, I'm very pleased that we're able to start buying our own B pieces in the program too. That was a great opportunity for us to stay involved, not only in servicing the loan, but also sharing the risk, which we very much like to participate in when we originate a loan.
Yeah, we think there's a great symmetry in having you do that, which is we're buying the loan from you, then in fact you're turning around and buying a portion of the loan back from us, and so we are aligned in our interest. You clearly have control and the direct economic interest in the performance of that loan, which gives us great comfort. And also, we think it also enables, again, more capital to flow into the space more broadly, which when we first started the program, that was one of the concerns, is would there be sufficient capital that was interested in the risk in the space? And thrilled that you're participating, that you're buying your own B piece, and that we're able to raise sufficient capital to help fuel our growth.
And our borrowers love it because they know that if they do run into an issue, that we're always there on an aligned basis to try and work out a solution. Sometimes in the marketplace, when the originator and the owner of the risk piece are two different parties and not close to the borrower, they have different objectives. So I think we all have an alignment of interest. And when there's an alignment of interest, I think it always works out for the best.
That's great. So what does the future hold for Ivan Kaufman and Arbor Realty?
So we just will continue to grow. I think long term, not only will we be a top 10 lender for Freddie Mac, but my view is that in the next few years we could be a top 5 lender for Freddie Mac. We love the relationship, and it's just going to grow. We're fairly new to Freddie Mac. We've made great strides, and my commitment is to continue with the strength of our partnership and be a top tier lender with you.
Well, we look forward to it. It's been one of the most dramatic growth trends we've seen. The relationship between you, Ivan, and me and our teams has really, I think, created that environment that's letting us grow together. We have tremendous respect for the innovation you bring to this marketplace, your ability to serve it, and we're going to look forward to seeing you continue to grow.
Look forward to it, David.